Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? Welcome to Growing Tree Podcast. So today we are diving right in. Okay, so we are talking about modern dating, and today modern dating feels a little different depending on who you ask. It's either evolving or completely broken. Today we're having a real conversation about what's actually going on from a male's perspective. There's a growing narrative that men are falling behind, whether it's in relationships or in purpose or even in mental health. At the same time, women are advancing in careers, in education, in opportunities like never before. So the question then becomes, what does it mean to actually date? What does dating mean? Are men struggling to adapt? Are expectations unclear? Or are we just in a period of transitioning that no one really fully understands yet? And beyond all of that, how do we move forward? So, because at the end of the day, it's not really about choosing sides. It's about creating better outcomes, building healthier relationships, clearer communication, stronger individuals. So today, I brought together a panel of men with different perspectives, different experiences to unpack all of this honestly. No scripts, no filters, just real perspectives. And we can get into it now. So, as I said, I've got a solid group of guys here with different perspectives, different experiences. And I think that's what's going to add to the conversation to make it real, right? So, let me start here. We've got my husband, Tokwe. We've been married for 4 years. Eddie Young is currently single. He's been navigating the dating scene for a while. And we have my friend Team, who's single as well, but with a different perspective on relationships. And we have Nero, who's currently in a relationship. And of course, Mr. Ade, who's been married for 24 years. So he's going to balance us out a little bit here. Thank you guys for being here.
Lovely to be here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Happy
us.
to be here.
Awesome. Okay, in case I missed anything or you didn't like my intro, because I saw your expressions. Quick intro. Who are you? Who you are? Quick intro. One liner. Nero, maybe you can go first.
Okay. I'm Nero. I'm a creative. Um, I think that's pretty much straightforward.
That's cool. Tim, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Tim. I'm based in the UK. I run a ministry, and alongside that, I'm an entrepreneur.
Awesome. Eddie.
Hi, I'm Eddie Young. I live in Lagos. I'm a legal practitioner.
Nice, a lawyer in the mist. And Mr. Ade.
Yeah, name is Ade, and I live in the media world. A media technician for a church here in Winnipeg, Canada. Like you said before, I'm married, um, and I have two adult young men.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. About to be married. One of them.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And my love. Tope.
Hi, my name is Tope. I'm an entrepreneur and going to also diving into the podcasting world, but that's in the future. But for now, I'm just an entrepreneur and I'm happy to be here with you guys. So let's get it going.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, thank you guys for the lovely intro. So my first question is, I have my cue cards. My first question is, from your personal experience, what does it feel? What feels different? And Mr. Adi and Topa, I know you guys are out of the game, but
Yeah.
you might this might more be an observation for you, right? So, but from your personal experience, what feels different about dating today compared to a few years ago? And maybe we can start with Eddie.
Oh, hi. Okay. Dating today, as opposed to dating a few years back. Um, Thing is, to have to make this kind of comparison, I'm in my 30s now. A few years back, let's say I was in my 20s, the expectations were sort of different for me at the
Mm,
time as someone that is dating, and the expectations now. And I also live in like a different economic time, and sometimes the economy also affects how people date, and then also looking at also the society, how it's structured now in terms of how men and women interact, and that also affects how people date. So the difference could be maybe economy can
yeah,
play a role,
yeah.
expectations now, and people, social media, people wanting to look better or fit in a particular mold. Um, you could also have, like I said, the social issues, how men and women interact now.
Mm,
The there's a lot of awareness in different angles that also affects expectations in relationships. So
yeah,
that's all I can.
yeah.
That's all I
Okay,
can think of.
okay. I'll come back to something you said afterwards, but let me hear from Tim.
Um, so now, am I speaking from experience or am I speaking from observation?
Yeah, from your experience.
Experience.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're talking about experience, I think I was in a relationship, maybe 2023. And if I'm being honest, that's not too far back. It's probably about 2.5, 3 years anyway, thereabouts. But I'll be honest, the dating pool for me was fine. I wasn't having any problems or anything of that nature.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
think in this season of life, I've only just come back round to the space and the mindset of, okay, I'm interested in obviously getting to know someone romantically in that capacity. But prior to that, if I was to say from an observational standpoint, um, I do think the landscape has changed drastically. I think people interact differently, men and women interact differently, and I think in context of like there's a lot more like media centric interaction as opposed to like in my 20s or even teenage years. You see a lady
Mm,
like you speak to her directly. A lot of face-to-face interaction took place. I'd also think that social media has really impacted the perception of the way men and women perceive each other. And
okay.
so mindsets, attitudes, expectations have shifted drastically. I
Mm,
remember if I was to say my teenage or early years, um, when it came to dating someone, you have to really like them because we didn't have anything when we were young. So you had to like them. It's either you like them or you don't like them. But then I think, as Edion said, that the expectations have shifted drastically. So what you want from a relationship, what your desires are, and I do believe they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So now when it
mm,
now comes to being more flexible, being more compromising, the older you get, I'm in my mid 30s as well. The older you get, the less you're kind of able to be flexible. Not to say that I'm not, but what I've
mm,
observed is that people become very like more rigid, trauma experiences. I think we're definitely more emotionally aware as a generation. So let's say what our parents put up with, we're not ready to put up with that. There's more of a like zero tolerance policy when it comes to relationships. Red flag, green flag, tick boxes. If you don't, all of these things are real are and like it's almost like the standard now. So
yeah.
I think that has been a barrier and a hindrance. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'll say so far that we can expand
No,
on.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm.
Do you agree with what Tim said and even piggyback came from Eddie's comment in terms of expectations? Expectations have changed. Like, do you agree that that is a reality? And also something Tim said as well with the dating landscape. He's like, oh, his experience is it was pretty good. But Eddie, your experience was is not from what you said, is different.
Mine has
It's
been
not.
good. So what do you
Oh,
mean?
has been good. Oh, okay. I
I'm only highlighting stuff that I've seen, right? Yeah, but if I were to net off my experience to say in total, yeah, I would say it has been a good experience too.
Mm. So, what in the dating experience, your dating experience in Nigeria, for example, it has like expectations have changed from back from how it was in our parents' time. The people that you're meeting is
Hmm.
has those
No,
has it changed?
well, yeah. So I would say that. I would say that. Okay, the you cannot have the 1960s, 70s type home anymore. You get, or even
Okay.
80s, or even some part of 90s. Things are really changing in respect to what people expect or what is fair and just in every circumstance. And when you bring that into the context of relationships, you cannot, for instance, have a very traditional man or a very traditional woman because all the genders are becoming aware of the weight that expectation puts on them. Okay, so
Mm,
to that extent alone, you that is coming into the market or into the scene with certain expectations has to perhaps adjust them to suit
mm,
what the society is. And this is because the people that you're going to be dating also what, for instance, if you're dating, say, a career person or yeah, let's say a career person, you do not
mm-hmm,
expect them to be available for all your whims or, well, let me not say whims. You don't expect to have the kind of home that you would have had if you did not date someone that had a full-on career, or sorry, if you would
mm,
not marry someone that had a full-on career in terms of marriages. So to that extent, you see how the expectations would have shifted, mostly because the social lines have also shifted. You get,
mm.
so to
Okay.
that extent, yes, that's what I mean. In terms of my experience in Lagos, I mean, Lagos is a normal commercial city.
Oh,
Have
Lagos is not
aspirations.
normal.
Yeah, people have aspirations. So when you are dating, you have to tie in all these aspirations in this bubbling city. So I don't know if that's clear
No, I
enough.
mean, I think I get it. I actually wanted to ask Mr. Ade, because you mentioned like, oh, expectations back in the day, having a career and whatnot. So what do you have to say about that? Like back in the day, how like was your wife not a career woman? Was she like more at home? Because I guess that those are some of the things that you're pointing to, right, Eddie?
Yeah,
In
also
terms of like
hope
those
help.
expectations
In terms of
changing.
also help, the cheapness of getting help in your homes. When we were younger, we could easily get help from family, people coming to live. It was a different society
Communal.
for raising families. But now you can scarcely get that help without paying. You get. And to
Hmm.
that extent, it's sort of, I don't know. I mean, let this married person tell us how it is for them now.
yeah. Well, let me step in here. Thanks, Bomo. I think I'm hearing what I'm hearing from everyone so far is that there's a lot of the how do I call it now, the financial aspect of this, where how do you? Okay, I'll just tell you my story so that you guys will understand. Maybe I'm a little bit like I live in a bubble here because I started dating my wife while we were in the university. I didn't have anything then. I was a broke student. We liked each other. And the funny thing is that you guys will tell me when I tell you some of these things. Back then, if there was anything that my wife didn't like about me, she would go get it. Well, we were dating then, my friend then. She would go out and buy me shirts, for example, and say, I don't like the way this looks on you, and she would get that for me you know so and I begin to think that because I was talking to my 21-year-old son, that's the other one, the younger one, about they were talking about dating, and I was like, what's happening amongst you guys? And the first thing he said was that, oh, every guy is always thinking of how do I get a car so that when I want to take them out, it will be easy. So again, it's leaning more along those, okay, I need to be able to um take care of this person. So it's like the perspective of, oh, there's an expectation right now of men that before you can even attract someone, another example of it was when there's a young lady that we like know that, okay, she's eligible, and we kind of, there's another guy who was like, oh, would you like to see the moment he saw the profile on, I think it was Instagram, I'm like, this one, can you see, I beg go, this one is too much for me. I'm like, really? So again, that's to weave in social media and the projections of what people look like. We didn't have that back in
Mm,
our day, because then it was
mm,
more of, it's what you see, every
Yeah.
day, and that was how it was. So there was no platform where you could say, I need to present my best foot forward. And that's why I say I may be an oddball here, because a lot of my dating happened when we were in the university. I would go to their hostel,
mm.
they would come to our hostel, we'll see, maybe see finish back then, because that was all what you saw was what you got.
Yeah.
There was no front, there was no, we were all living in that university community where, you know, if you're broke, you're broke, you go to the hostels and they give you food, and and all of that kind of thing. So I guess, I don't know if I'm helping out here, but I'm just sharing that
Yeah.
that was a bit of my own experience of what it was like back then.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, why aren't people then like meeting each other in university or at work? Like, one of the, I know the scene has changed, the dating landscape has changed from you guys, what you guys are saying, social media and all these things. But why aren't people meeting at school, from school to, or work to getting together, getting in a relationship, getting married? Like, what is changing? Because if you look at the data, it's saying that, as I mentioned earlier, women are now in education, right? More than it's been recorded in history. But if you compare that data with men going to university or even going higher, postgraduate degrees, you see there's a disparity in that. Like, men are not going to school as much as women are now. And so maybe where you would find that wholesome, we are on the same level at school together, in university or at work, maybe that is dwindling. I don't know, because why aren't people meeting in university? Why isn't that, why has that changed, that transition of you meet in school, you vibe together, and then from there, you know you pivot into a serious relationship, right? Why isn't that happening? What do you guys think? No, I haven't heard from you. I don't know if your connection is good. If your connection isn't good, then Tokwe, maybe you can give your 2 cents
Okay, so
before.
can you hear me clearly?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So it's pretty much like a summary of what everybody has been saying, but I'm just going to streamline it. Right? We have, in this day and age, infinite options, and our options have created different perspectives, different thought processes. It has shifted standards, expectations. It has given wrong definitions to things like what love is, how you should love, how you should express love. It has redefined what happiness is to the wrong perspective. And what I mean by infinite options is, if you take a look back, probably from, um, let's say, lastly, 90s, right? The only, before the internet, before social media, if you were to look for a girl, you had three options. You had your neighborhood, you had school, and you had church. I don't know how it works with the mosque because I've never been a Muslim. So you have just those three options. So back then, what you would notice is intentionality. You would notice people take their time to resolve conflicts. There was scarcity, and so people cherished what they had. They just didn't throw things away just because, oh, you said this to me and you hurt me. People were more disciplined emotionally
I see.
because there were limited options. But now we have like too much options. Imagine an app giving you the ability to just scroll, 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 scroll. Those are people you're looking at. You don't even know what they're about on the inside, but you're just looking at the container, the vessel, and you're just scrolling without connecting. So I'll give you a typical example. Back then, if you want to see a particular girl, right? You might have seen the girl. Oh, that girl. They're coming back from church. That's this person's sister. Oh, yeah. Oh, the girl is fine. So you're curious, and you're like, You start to observe on the streets, like, She goes to school. She goes to this school. They wear white and blue. That means it's that school. I have one friend in that school. You're trying to look for a way to reach out to that friend to find out about the girl. You are trying to understand, does she do lesson? Does she do extra lesson? When does she close from school? She closes by 4 p.m. Okay. The
Mm.
father goes to pick her, or she comes back in a cab, or how does she come back? What church does she attend? When you do find out this, right, you look for
Mm.
your window. And in most cases, let's say your window is she's coming back from school, you'd find that the guy would be so intentional with his timing. He would buff up, look good, look the part, right? And show up to intercept. No phone call, no text message, no, are you going to be here? Oh, by this time, nothing like that. It's just your study, your intentionality, and you intercept and you have a conversation. And when you eventually, right, have that connection, you cherish it because you don't have too many options. It was like a treasure to be like, oh, I'm in a relationship, I have a girlfriend. People were flirtatious back then, yes, but you can't compare the level of promiscuity now. It's basically because options were limited. Where do you want to see that high number of girls and you start having all of those conversations? You'd fall into problems because there was no phone for you to make phone calls. Your girlfriend could just storm your house, and then you'd find all those funny situations where people are fighting. You're taking my man. Hey, what are you doing with my man? It's my man. It's my man.
So
So
are you
infinite
saying? Are you
options.
saying? So sorry to interrupt you, Nero. So are you saying scarcity is the solution? Is the fact that the scarcity is the is the main thing? If there isn't scarcity, then like scarcity is what worked, and then because of the scarcity, that's why things were able to progress in relationship. And now where there is surplus, now it's like it's a problem. Is that what you're saying? In a nutshell. I don't know. Who else agrees with this narrative?
No, I think what he's saying is that it's just the simple economics of supply and demand, right? So I think now, like you said, you have more options, right? So you don't cherish the options that you have as much. And then what one thing I liked that he said was that we're now on our phones more than being in person, right? So we are losing that interaction with people. Like I remember back in the days, I'm not that old, but back in the days, like when we were in school, like you walk up to the girl, you have to, strike a conversation, you have to, we the guys had you have to have kind of swag and a kind of rapport with people, right? But nowadays that's not happening as much. People are on their phones, you're just clicking left or clicking right, yes, yeah. But that one-to-one interaction, we're losing that aspect. And that's one thing that you see that now a lot of people come into conversations and they don't know how to hold a conversation with a lady that is, doing well. You're scared. There's actually that fear for men now, like, oh, she's out of my league. It's because we're losing that one-to-one interaction, and then we are now trying to, you know, stick. We are on our phones, and then when we now come into a conversation, we can't transition from that screen to one-on-one. So that's one of the difficulties I think with like
You're
that I
facing.
observed that we're facing. It's just
Okay.
sometimes that transition is difficult.
Okay. Do you guys agree? Tim, Eddie, do you guys
I
agree
w-
or disagree? What's your
sorry,
perspective?
let me. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Me or Tim?
I'll be honest, my speakers wasn't working, so you can go ahead and I'll catch on to what
Okay.
you're saying.
Well, I seem to be echoing.
Oh yeah. Do you want to try again to see if that's
It's
better?
better now.
I can the echo has stopped for sure.
Oh, must have come from the. Well, that's fine. So yeah, I agree with him, and and it's a problem in different aspects of dating. For one, the dating apps now, you just keep on swiping, you just keep swiping, and you would have these 50 conversations lined up, which you haven't even responded to, but you're still swiping for more. So it's a very yeah, it's a very interesting problem because now they are making these apps such that you can't even drop them, you know, and we have to do the dating activity in real time, in real life. I mean, you can incorporate the phone, the your phone video calls and all of that, but meeting people, being with people, is a personal activity, and we are suffering somewhat. But I think also that the phones have helped our lives even better keep up with each other. So we can't really throw it. You can't throw
Of course.
the baby with the dirty
No
water.
battle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Momo and
very,
I,
yeah. So you see,
Exactly.
that way has also helped dating in a way, has expanded our options, made it possible for us to, you know, meet people
Meet
far and
people.
wide. Right, that's also made it hard for us to be able to maintain or build, in some instances, good relationships because of, like he said, the optionalities and, you know, that.
Okay. So are you saying because what Nero is saying is that Natasha or Nkechi that stays down the road, yeah,
Mm.
is a spec. Okay. And you like her. So and because there's no Nkechi, Natasha, Sandra, there aren't much available at your disposal. So Nkechi, Natasha is the target of and the object of your affection, right? Now, if you take away the screens, if you take away the dating apps, right, and you have physical interaction, right, and you're able to meet people, is that the fact that is only in Kichi that is available in your neighborhood or your surrounding, it makes it what Neris was saying, it
Yeah,
makes it easier for you to put up with the encumbrances that
that's
Nkechi has,
just your way.
right? Because of that, now you're able to compromise. Now it's not like, oh, Natasha is better, right?
Mm,
Because Natasha wears nicer clothes when her fit is better, right? So
okay.
Straight
Well,
legs,
so in a
great
way, I would
smile.
say, yeah, I would say that that could also be kind of simplifying the whole thing because it's not just about her, but much of the fact that now that you have a phone and um, there's the phones are such that you cannot drop them. You get,
mhm.
It's addictive.
and it might be a weakness, that has to be dealt with. But in the truth of it, there's TikTok telling you this is how a relationship should be. You know, there's that aspect of it where someone is telling you that this is how it should be. Then there's also that one where you yourself are thinking that, I don't have to commit to this one. I'm sure there's better there. This is the other person that is on my phone. Look at this
Yeah.
one. Look at this one here. Look at this one. So like, I think it's a multifaceted thing, not just a matter of now no availability because I have only this person in front of me, but just also the fact that it then gives you the illusion or sometimes the possibility, depending on how much you want
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also a way I saw it. I mean,
Okay.
um,
Yeah. Tim, let me hear from you. What do you think about this?
Okay, so for me, I've never actually been on dating apps ever. So from the dating app experience, I don't have it. But I've been in the world of comparison. So I do understand and feel like when you have multiple options, it now becomes impossible to choose because one has the personality, another one has the body, another one has the
Yeah.
faith and the belief system. And so everybody would have it, but to different grades. And then now it's a case of, okay, what is it that you value the most? Prioritizing things of that nature. But I don't think that it's exclusive to this generation. I think it's always been there. I think the difference is that now the accessibility to the volume of women has gone from a smaller pool to a much larger pool. So now when we're speaking
Mm-hmm.
about decisiveness, it's so hard for a man to be decisive. Why? Because you scroll on your phone, Instagram. Listen, that app cannot be safe sometimes. That's the truth of the matter. So I do think it actually plays this is what I believe is taking place. The wiring of the brain is subconsciously now being told that, oh, disposable, another option. You don't even have to commit. There is something else. And it's not something that's overtly being expressed, but even if when you look at culture today, culture does encourage you to be promiscuous, find yourself. Everything's about self, 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 self. And the purpose of man has kind of like been eradicated from our whole ecosystem as
Wow.
humans. And everybody's just indulging in, okay, cool, what satisfies me? How can I gratify my flesh? So that puts us in a position where a lot of people are finding themselves not, and there's this whole notion of settling as well. And the truth of the matter is, the way I see it, if you have to compromise, then you have to settle. And the reality is, of all relationships, you will have to compromise. So we're always going to be settling for something. So I think even the negative stigma on settling and what we're settling over, some people are settling over salary, or this guy drives this, another guy drives this. Which one should I go for? This girl does this. So that whole comparison culture, the whole ideology of I can get better, the grass is greener on the other side. Honestly, I know from my small experience in life, the grass is green where you water it, as they say. That's the truth of the matter. But I do think when you do get older, like myself, for example, experience, let's say, for example, if you're a man that has multiple relationships with a woman, yeah, whether it's conscious or subconscious, is going to have an impact on your ability to love, your ability to navigate relationships. Each time you have one of these experiences, I always say that every relationship that you have, it almost takes something away from you. And in that taken away from you, the next one, can you afford yourself? Do you have the emotional currency that you had the previous time when you've expensed yourself in a relationship for 2 years? It didn't work. You expensed yourself in another relationship a year and a half, it didn't work. 3 years, it didn't work. Now you're just like, well, let's see how this one goes. At least she's a woman. But then that whole passion, that love, that drive is not there as much. So even as a man, to be very like, let's say for example, now I'm ready to date. Now I'm in a space whereby I'm ready to be romantically involved with a woman. I don't have the same aggression and drive that I had in my mid 20s. It's almost like been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Last if she comes, she comes. If
Wow.
she doesn't come, she doesn't come. I'm not like as
Wow.
in the drive I had in my 20s. Now I'm in my mid 30s. It's like it would be nice, but then also I've learned to live to an extent
Mm.
without a woman. So also we're
Mm.
teaching one another in our interactions and modern day dating culture that we can exist without you. Women in modern day, do they need men? You have to remember, man back then was a protector. Now you just call 99, you've got your protection. Like you want to talk about provision? Is a man a provider in the same capacity
Is
that
it
he
the
was
same though?
back in the? It's not the same. A woman
Mm.
will look at you. I remember there was the time that I was dating a wonderful young lady, and she went to work. I was at home. She slapped my bum and said, "What's for dinner?" Because I stayed at home. I said, "Hey, times have changed now. They're saying what's for dinner," and I'm like, "Do you know I'm
Me?
a
Comedian.
man?" Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's in joke, it's in jest, but nonetheless, women can be breadwinners. Women have the
Oh,
financial, they
yeah,
have the
bread.
access to make the money just as much as a man does. So now there has to be an intrinsic desire for companionship. There has to be an
Mm.
intrinsic desire to want something outside of gender roles. If you don't
Mm.
have that, it becomes more of a struggle to pursue something that is authentic, that is real, that honors God, all of these kind of things. So
Mm.
I feel like the natural drive that was there, especially let's say for gentlemen that are probably like 28, 29, 30, mid 30s, might not be in the same capacity as it was in their younger years.
With age, do you, and you'd say is one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, I think for me, let's say for me, I can only speak for myself. For me
Yeah.
personally, and I think obviously I'm a very busy man as well. Being busy, I don't believe it helps. That's the honest truth. Being very busy, I don't believe it helps. Um, but it's more like if it comes, it comes. Yeah, I'm happy. But in terms of pursuing, looking out, am I standing on the road saying, "When's my Cinderella gonna come?" No, it's not happening. I'm not. I'm not at that phase. But at the same time, I would love it because I know what the Bible says about he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. I see the value in having a wife, a life partner, somebody that can be your confidant, your companion, all of these things. I see the beauty in it. And I think previously I've been there, I've been in relationships, I've got the t-shirt, I'm tired, I don't want to do it no more. And just working on myself and also growing in God has brought me to that space of, okay, yeah, I'm ready to come back now to that space. But now it's like, okay, the right woman, expectations, what is reasonable, what is all of these different things that fit the landscape. But
Yeah.
mine is you
Yeah.
leave it in God's hands. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It is well.
Amen. As they say.
Yeah. No, it's a valid point. That's a valid point. Is it because as you're talking now, right? I don't know. Maybe someone else can chime into this. Is this why? Because on the other side of the spectrum, I speak to women that are single, and there's like oh, men are not pursuing. Right? They're not pursuing me. I'm not finding that they're pursuing me. And then you start having conversations like, oh, is it because I have this, or is it because this are my expectations, this is my list, is it because
Mm,
I'm looking for this, should I, what is my what's my hard line on, right, what are my what my hard line is that I can't compromise on, and what are the things that I'm able to shift? Is it because of those things? Do I really need to look at my list to see this and that, or are they just like not pursuing because they don't want to get married, they don't want to be in a relationship, they don't want to be committed, right? So I'm having a lot of conversations with women that say, oh, men are not committed, they're not committed, they just kind of, they talk to me, they vibe, right? And after that there's nothing, right? And so maybe I'm now thinking, maybe is it because there's also like men are stretched thin, like you're not also like in that place, as for the reason you just mentioned, like the passion or the zeal, you're not like, oh, where's my Cinderella, or
mm.
is that also the reason why men are not, or some men are not pursuing men? Because you find like, okay, maybe as you someone mentioned, I can't remember who, I said, you meet people in church, you meet people at work, you meet people in school. Nero, you mentioned that. And you find
Yeah.
like, okay, there are a ton of women in church, and a ton of women are like, oh, I want to get married, I want to settle down, da, 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 but the men are not pursuing me. Is it because of this? Is it because of that? Is it because I'm making X amount of money? Are they intimidated by that? Is it because of my expectation? Cooking, is that it? So
Let
I'm
me come in.
interested.
Let me come in here, if I
Yeah,
may.
please. Yeah.
So the first thing I want to say is this: I think Tim mentioned the fact that there are a lot of options right now. Currently, just to confirm what Boone said, I am surrounded by a lot of single women who are very non, how do I want to say it now? If I want to use the word left, the way young girls are today, there's a perception out there that there are no good materials of women anymore. That perception is readily spreading very fast. However, I think
Yes.
that's been fed by a lot of things that are happening on social media. In reality, there are a lot of good girls, good ladies that are single, but the guys are still not coming. And I actually, I'm leaning more towards the side of where are the guys? Where are the good guys? I'm so excited that I'm part of this discussion today because I'm looking at three good looking guys, decent guys that have solid, personalities and all of that based on just the few minutes that I've spent with them. And in my head, I'm beginning to think, okay, so there are also the guys out there, but what's going on? It seems like there's a bit of confusion on either side. They think the guys are not available. The guys think the girls are not available. We need to find a way to bring the
Connect.
truth out, right?
Yeah.
Because for one thing, the fact that there are those many options, and like Tim said as well, when you try one, it didn't work, try second, it didn't work, you begin to learn how to cope with being a single guy. And for the right or the wrong reasons, today's availability of information out there, including self-gratification options that you can have for yourself that can take care of some needs that, because you're not married or you're not in a relationship, you can use that to take care of certain areas of your physical needs, and then you move on, right? So those are the kind of issues that are happening. And then it's beginning to, I'm talking to you, okay, I'm 53. I have a friend, my friend who was my best man. I'm hoping he's not watching this somehow. He's still single today. Our classmates, all of us are on his case every time and saying, Oga, what's happening now? What's happening now? But again, it gets to a point where, maybe he's made up his mind or whatever. So again, um, what do you want? I'm sitting down now. I'll ask you guys the question: what do you want? I love your idea, Tim, where you talked about the fact that you just want companionship. At the end of the day, maybe if when you were younger, you were like, oh yeah, this is my spec, this is that. But
Yeah.
eventually, you're like, you know what? And T, that's honestly, trust me, that's the kind of maturity that happens to you, even in marriage. There are certain things that we used to fight about when we were younger in a marriage. That when you get to, you just look back and say, what were we thinking? For me, the biggest deal is when I say, what does a guy want in marriage? All you want is a friend, because my wife and I can sit down and do cho from morning till night, and we never get tired of each other. You know, does that not mean that we're getting older? Whatever it is that attracts us together, and it will continue, it will begin to how do I want to say it, fade or
Fade.
whatever.
Transition.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that's the politically correct way
I'm
to
hearing
say
you. Very political.
it. But again, so it just goes to show that if there's anything I want to leave here, leave with you guys here today, is that I think the changing times, how good it has been, there's a lot of bad thing that has just brought it with it as well. We might need to go back to the basics, going back to Nero's point. It's all about that physical connection and finding a way to go, outside
Mm.
of. So there's a lot of discipline that men need to have on their own. However, what you're actually looking for is somebody that you can, just a friend, that someone you can. So you will not be able to get 100%. There's a list of, if you look at what is attraction, There's spiritual attraction, there's emotional attraction, there's intellectual attraction, there's the physical attraction. There's one more, I can't remember it exactly right now. If you check all of these and you begin to mark, okay, what do I want? Okay, physical is there, but brain, there's nothing. Is that a deal breaker for me? We can't talk at the same intellectual level with this person. Emotional, this person is draining. They're always asking. Typically, we know women want to communicate. If a guy is not willing to listen, they're not ready to be in a relationship. That's one of the things
100.
that you will find, right? The way is not in his head.
100.
You need to get. It took me years of struggling in marriage to realize that she just wants to talk, and that's how she, is able to. And she doesn't even need you to say anything. Just sit down and listen attentively, and not just pretend you're listening. Phones will, you're on your phone, she's on her phone, she's talking, and you're like, that's not going to work, right? So there are basic rules that we need to go back to as men and realize that, even though, okay, sorry, before I stop, I wanted to say something again. When Tim mentioned the lady told you what's for dinner, all because you were at home. That's the other side of things now, where men, we need to realize that times have changed, right? Because it's true, the traditional roles of the man being the provider is no longer viable, right? The woman can take care of everything, and then you can be the one to. So are you willing to accept the new reality and still live in it? Because we've discovered that culture or whatever has shaped us to believe certain things. However, the reality is that there is nothing like the man should be the provider. That is what today has proven now. There is no such thing like the man has to be the provider. So if you now find yourself not being the one, then what's now your new identity? Which means finances should not be your identity in the first place. It has to be something else. So it's like a whole redefinition of everything, But I personally, I'm encouraged because I'm just because I'm working with some of these ladies, honestly, that I'm talking to you about. And I know that, okay, there are guys out there, we just need to find them somehow. Because I'm telling you guys, there are ladies out there that I have in my hand as I speak. So you can link me up.
Just come back into the market, you can help him out,
Mr. Dave, the matchmaker.
Promotion. It's a
Thank you for your
promotional
services,
video.
sir.
Your DM will be full.
Yeah. Which then leads me to ask. I was going to ask this. What then is a purpose for man? Right? Because if it's no longer protector provider, right? What is the purpose of a man? Right? Because it's nice to say, right, that financial independence or dependence or independence or the financial aspect is not should not be what identifies or is an identity. It's nice to say, but I feel like it's always kind of been at play, even not even now, right? If for time, I feel like women either shoot on par with where they are economically or financially, or they shoot higher. And I feel like that's why Mr. Ade's experience with his wife, they were both broke in university. They were on the same level, right? She shot at the same level she was in. Women will naturally tend to sway and shoot at the same level or shoot higher. Men, they don't really have that at play when they're looking at a woman, right? That's why in all these Nollywood movies, you can see Ramsey Noah go to the village to go and meet Mercy Johnson and
Fall
marry
in
or
love.
Rita Dominic, or and fall in love with a village girl. It's not something that's at play, but it's always been at play since history, since the beginning of what we know as time. That's how women operate. So when we're now talking about the dating landscape, finding a partner or a friend, right, and not leading with financial prowess or whatever that is, right? What then is the purpose? Because I can tell you for certain that women want to still be protected. that women want to still be cared and provided for, even though they can be breadwinners. In fact, I can tell you that women that are even breadwinners, some of them, they want to retire early
Yeah,
from being a
we know.
breadwinner. Hmm.
Yeah, we know. This is the thing. When women make money for themselves and the kids. When men make money for the family. That's the
Family.
truth of the matter. Men always think about the family, whereas a woman doesn't desire to. And I think even now we're coming back to, this whole kind of toxic masculinity craze and feminism and all that. One thing I always say is first generation feminists, if they looked at the feminism of today, they would say this is not what we fought for. We wanted to fight, we fought for our human rights almost as if to be kind of recognized. Now there's a total change in the landscape in terms of dynamic between man and woman. Yeah. For me, I am still a big believer in gender roles. Not that the lines can't be blurred in the sense of now because I'm a man, I cannot hoover, I cannot wash plate, I cannot nothing of that. Like I do think you have to work in accordance to your relationship. That's how I believe we shouldn't even take a objective approach with these things. It
Mm.
should be objective. I've got one of my sons in the ministry that he is a chef, as in he's a chef, and his partner, he has to fight his partner to do the cooking. I mean, to not for him not to cooking because he loves to cook so much. So I do think that we can't even approach these things from an
If
objective
it's
manner, like it's one shoe fits all, because everybody has their own individual desires and
Correct.
things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, now when it comes to, let's say, how we navigate in terms of finding the right person and things of that nature,
Hmm.
I do think we need to probably pull back all of these layers of what is not working. I think we need to go back to the traditional old school dynamic of meeting people, speaking to them. Not many of us want to do that whole what's your favorite color dance, but maybe we have to go back to the whole basics again, because the way relationships have been made to be perceived versus what it actually is. Like I heard someone say people spend £50,000 on a wedding, but they wouldn't spend the same amount of money on investing in what's actually going to sustain their marriage.
Hmm.
So we're becoming people and individuals that don't actually care about the inward. We're actually focused on what everybody else sees, what
Mm-hmm.
everybody else feels, what everybody else thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And then now when you touch on the whole notion of, okay, cool, so what is a man? I can only speak to you from a biblical standpoint in terms of what is a kingdom man. So when we're speaking about what is a man, you're speaking about what God made Adam to be in the garden, which was a king and a priest. A man's responsibility is to lead and also be the priest of his household, direct his family to God. Those are two of the primary functions of a man. If you now look at modern day society and you see that, how does that marry up? I don't believe that at any age in time that changes. When we speak about purpose, a reason for being, I don't even believe that is one moment in a man's life. I believe it evolves and journeys. But at the same time, if you even look at the scriptures, when God set aside, what's his name? Paul and Barnabas, the Bible says, set aside for me Paul and Barnabas for the work that I've called them to. There's a God given work that God has for you. But in the fullness of life, in its essence, your purpose for living in in every aspect to glorify God. In all that you do, whether you choose to be a carpenter, whether you choose to be a painter, whether you choose to be a legal lawyer, a businessman, in all that you do, we should glorify God in that capacity. Our, our mandate, our responsibility is to now, as men, be the heads of our home, that leads as the priests, honoring our wives, loving them as Christ has loved the church, and at the same time, being the leaders, the kings that God has called us to be in our households, in our communities, so that in all these spaces, God is glorified. And that's why I still believe men need to earn money properly. They can't, women will never allow a man to
yeah,
just
yeah.
just
That's true.
be chilling at home. So,
True.
in as much as we can say that the modern day society or the dynamic is, women earn money and things of that nature, which is great. No one should stop them from earning their money. Money ability to provide. Ability to provide is also protection. We can't just think of it from the landscape of, oh, go out and box somebody. Oh, he wanted to take my handbag. Oh, baby, I saved you from him taking your handbag. Financial resource is actually protecting your family from starvation, protecting your family from being in environments such as shelter. So money is a large component of that. But it's not now that we're saying that, oh, because we want him to have money, he needs to be buying Birkin bag. He needs to drive Rolls Royce. Oh, on my birthday, why am I not in a private jet? My friend, they went to go and book the whole hotel. You only want to go and book one
So we
room.
blame, so we blame TikTok.
What
Wow.
did you
This is
say?
the
So this is
Then
where we
this is
blame
where we blame.
TikTok.
so,
Wow.
but yeah, these are the things that I think men are facing. And so, you know how women are saying men are not even talking to women? Yeah. I think it's because of the preconceived ideas of so many men have. I've got some young people in
Mm,
my
Yes.
church, and the women will say that the guys, it's like they're frigid. They don't want to speak to us. They don't want to go near us. Nobody also wants to be a story in a group chat or a scandal because I liked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Men are so averse. I've never seen a generation of men that are so averse.
yes.
And
Yes.
also culturally, there's things like Snapchat and Instagram and social media. Everything is DMs and things of that nature. But real kind of like connections, people don't even know how to form them.
Yeah.
Like when I hear men speak to women in the younger generation, all I hear is, "Can I get your Snap? Can I get your Instagram?" They don't even know how to hold a conversation.
That's what Togbo was saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Because
I
I
they're just trying to shop at the end of the day.
exactly, exactly.
They're trying to
yeah.
shop. They're trying to see, oh, what's going on over there. Let me see what's happening in there first. They don't want to
Mm-hmm.
find out. And so there's something interesting about men, right? A
Mm.
typical, well, let me speak for Lagos, Niger vibe. There is this overkaku. A typical guy is someone who steps into a place and he reads the room.
Mm,
And if you roll with boys, right, you would find that a group of five, we all know our bad characters. We don't talk about it. We just
mm,
shift. We shift to, let's say, oh, this guy, you want him to come to that event. Oh, we went to the event together, but we saw his demonstrations. The next time we're going to an event, we don't get to talk about it. We all just know this guy is not coming. Somehow, some way, it would play out in the way that he doesn't come, right? Guys also take
wow.
that into dealing with ladies. Like if a guy comes at you and you have a decent conversation and you throw, like, we don't do red flags, but we know what we know. So if you come with certain attitudes, it not all guys want to have that, oh, you did this wrong, what you did, that confrontational communication that is so polite and soft, trying to listen to you, trying to hear you. The truth is, let me go back a bit. We are computers. And what I mean by that is there are societal architects. And what we're talking about is all of these influences, all of these spheres, they affect our mental architecture. They affect our mental design. They affect how we relate, how we respond, how we recognize, how we define over time.
Mm,
All
yeah.
of these factors, SS options, false standards, false narratives, agendas, they all rewire our brains. And so when you first and foremost understand what union is, union and this is not just about union, this is about God's design. Everything in nature is interdependent. There's no independence in nature. It doesn't exist. The bees need the flowers need the bees. You need the sun, the plants need the sun. The plants need us, we need the plant. There's oxygen exchange, there's carbon dioxide exchange. There's all of this interdependentness. But if you look at society today, the societal architects, they've created the atmosphere for independence and winning, independence and strong. And
Mm,
that has shifted the minds of people in how they interrelate with each other. There
mm,
is the lack of patience. There is no tolerance. There is, oh, you are not strong, you are not winning. There are false standards on social media. Oh, you did that. Oh, you tolerated that from a guy. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did. Can you let the guy treat you this way? That's total rubbish. So people are no longer living for themselves, trying to get to meet a person, calibrate with a person, and synchronize. The process of calibrating with a person is the most difficult. It is the most. I thought loving was easy, which brings it back to roles, right? When you talk about roles and if you use scripture as a guide, a man is supposed to love. It sounds very simple, right? So the scripture says love, men love, but I'll come back to that men love. So you see, to love is not easy. But when it comes to women, what does the scripture say? Submit, be of a mild spirit, and be quiet. You see, just three things: be mild, be quiet, submit. But for a man, just one thing makes it look simple: love. Then, until you open Corinthians, First Corinthians 13, and then you understand what love is, and you see how
Exactly.
painful love is. Love
Jesus,
is to be
my God.
patient, not to keep
Lakatayadabaya.
account, to not like do everything to me. I'm supposed to just chest it and then love you. I'm supposed, and what that looks like today is the reality of why I had to take a step back and talk about spheres of influence and how we are computers and how all of these factors affect our mental architecture. Is the reality is, which is why I crowned it up with options. There is that lack of discipline these days. There is that failure to understand that you have to calibrate. And what does calibration look like? Calibration looks like character development for yourself, and it looks like that dedicated effort in training the person you're with. Not training from a perspective of I'm superior than you, so you have to listen to me, I have to train you. No, like I'm giving you honest review, I'm giving you feedback, I'm holding your hands, I'm telling you, oh, yeah, I'm cheering you on, oh, you're doing great here. And I'm coming back to you with great feedback. This scene we're in, there's no such thing as feedback. The minute you shit for church, oh, I'm out. I don't come off for here. I'm going through the door. I'm talking to someone else. After all, there's someone else. There's always that craze of options. There's that agenda of feminism. Oh, you don't need a man. What do you need a man for? And if you go back to what you need a man for, when you speak about protection, protection is wide. It's not just about or
It's
provision,
not just
right?
okay.
There is that support. There is the mental capacity. There's the emotional level of your partner, where once they hit that, it drops brrr, like a chart. And at that point in time, they are disorientated, they are depressed. You have to be the one to go inside of them and save them, pull them in, make them feel safe mentally, emotionally. We work. Sometimes work can drain you. Sometimes your reality, your relationships can drain you. And that's why roles are still important for you to recognize who a man is and who a woman is and what your role is. And it's really not at a particular gender, to be honest. It's basically about what this is. It's compatibility, right? It's complementary rather. Like when you see something like this, it's fitting each other. So you have to complement each other, which is what is greatly lacking in the dating scene today. There's no there's no complement. People get entangled on wrong platforms. So
Yeah.
imagine me going to the club in Lagos, and in my mind, I'm like, I've deceived myself that I'm looking for love. And my definition of love is
Wow.
that girl with a very fat bum, looking good, great face, and I'm looking at that girl. What attracted me to the girl? The fat bum. Wrong platform, wrong place. The place is even the wrong platform. The person you're looking at, the the thing that has attracted you is completely wrong. Oh well, because you think you're the only one that has eyes. All the other guys in the club, they are blind. Or you think you're the highest guy with the game. So I'm just going to move to her in a different way, and she's just going to feel my vibe. And then I'm going to win her on that, and then she's going to be loyal to me on that. Meanwhile, the girl is also shopping. She's there. She's looking at who's with the Cullinan in this club, who came with the Lamborghini, who is with the I think I saw that guy outside. Oh, my guy told me about, oh, my girl said she knows that. And so everybody is shopping and it becomes a transaction. The boy wants to eat the body, the girl wants to eat the wallet. and then you end up eating each other, and you're eating each other on a physical perspective, not knowing that you're consuming each other spiritually even.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you're eating away, because the mind, right, is your, when you talk about the soul, the highest point you can use to connect to your soul, it's your thought and your emotions. That's all you have. That's all you have to govern you, to direct you, to lead you. That's the stronghold. And so when you're thinking about your thought and your emotions, and you're looking at two people paired up together, and you talk about things like priesthood, and you hear things like witchcraft, all of those things comes from thoughts and emotions.
Mm.
And so with the thought of me looking at you, fine girl, I go finish this girl. I'm really going with that agenda, but I think it's just physical. But the spiritual dimension of me is really going to finish you. And then the girl is coming with the initiative of, I'm going to finish this boy, his money. And she's really coming with that agenda. And it now comes back to, what's your spiritual makeup? What's your spiritual strength? What have you built over the years? What
Wow.
has your lineage built over the years? And then it becomes a physical combat, a spiritual combat rather, where you now have to punch each other, and then you get exhausted, or you get um impacted with things you never knew, like anxiety, depression, self-doubt, and the rest. And you could come out from a relationship and you find yourself not wanting to date for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
You've not
Mm.
completely healed. You've not
Mm.
completely healed. You've not gone inside of yourself to introspect, to see, to weed out, to change your narrative. So if I'm to like bring a conclusion to this, I feel like people have to just be aware of societal architects, and then you now have to become aware of your character development, because you can't want, God will only give you, right, coming from the aspect of spirituality, he would only give you what you have, I don't want to say prepared yourself for, but he would give you what he sees you can handle, right? He will give you what he sees he has equipped you for. He will give you what you have accepted. You'd see he always tells you, do not be afraid. Or, oh, Moses, go and speak. Oh, I can't speak. Oh, go and speak. Oh, I can't speak. Oh, God, what's wrong with this guy? You say you stammer. Oh, yeah, take Aaron and go. But he would have done that thing without Aaron. But because he kept doubting, right, he had to be like, no problem. I know you're a human. And that's what Christ himself did when he said, oh, God, this generation, you guys don't have faith. You're still coming to tell me about this thing. So it's, if you check all of that, what's that? It's character development.
Hmm.
It's
Interesting.
that flawed line that exists between how men have shaped their view or perspective of a woman, and that flawed line of how a woman sees a man, the expectations, the standards, the values that they exchange.
Okay.
It's contaminated
Okay.
badly, and it needs cleansing from both angles.
Angles. Yeah. Thanks for that, Nero. I feel like yeah, a lot. You said a lot, right? If I want
For
to
therapy
pivot,
anymore.
eh?
I don't have to pay for therapy anymore.
Yeah, that's a very good segue because I was actually going to direct a question to you because we're talking about mental health issues, right? And
Mhm.
I let me put this in a way that is gentle. The records or the data show over the past few years, I think from 2022, that especially in the statistics in the US, right? So I'm not even
Mm,
we don't even know what's happening in Lagos or Nigeria. I don't know what's
mm,
happening in the UK or in Canada here. But in the
mm,
US, the statistics show that men are committing suicide more
mm,
than than the other gender, right?
mm, mm,
And people are assuming it's for several reasons. Some people are assuming it's for purpose. Some people are assuming it's because men don't have there's a stigma when it comes to mental health issues in a space to talk about that, right?
mm, mm,
And when we say mental health issues, people always think, running crazy. But we're talking about things like anxiety, right?
mm,
the pressure that comes with that, right? Even like maybe with this, when you ask people about like dating, they talk about their financial prowess or lack thereof, right? The pressure that comes with that,
Mm.
that expectation from society, right? And I'm here listening to you guys, and I've heard you guys say in one way or the other about even how Nero was talking about, men, how they deal with issues. The guy would just not be, your friend comes and that's the cause of a problem, and then the next occasion you just not invite that guy, right? And dealing with that sort of issue by just moving forward. How do we then, because I feel like everyone, when you're coming into a dating scene, you're interacting with somebody, right? With the other gender, you come in with with that mindset, right? Which is what you're speaking to now. You come in with that character. You come in with the pressure. You come in with the expectation, right? How then? This is a pivot point. How then do men prioritize or look for or find a place to have that mental, to prioritize their mental health, right? Is it through mentorship, right? Is what is it, that training of character development? Because you can't all do it by yourself, right? All these things
Mm-hmm.
that you're talking about, the mandate of loving someone and how painful
Mm.
and difficult that is, that's not something that you can navigate by yourself. I feel like women
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of resources where they can, sister pair up, you know, they can do my spiritual mother, they could do mentorship in this, marriage mentorship in this aspect. But I don't know or
For men.
what it's like for me. Yeah, I don't know any resource, like even with the pressure of dealing with finances and finding purpose. Like, what is a man? What was my credibility as a man? And I feel like that comes into play when people are like, oh, what are you bringing to the table? What's the man bringing to the table? What's the woman bringing to the table? This nice table, right? That I feel like should be a stool. It's like, what? How do we navigate that? What do you think, right?
You
It's
know,
expression.
Oh,
oh,
let me hear from Eddie, and then we can.
okay, cool.
Tim, you can take over.
You're echoing for some reason, Bone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's good now.
Is that better now?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
So, if I get your question correctly, you're saying this is where we are. How do we get better?
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you navigate like the mental health stuff? How do you like deal with the pressure of
Of being a
expectations from
man in this
society and
world.
even with yourselves?
So I think that a man, the average man, I'm not even going to speak in terms of the broad categorization of men now. The average man needs to define his own life. You get. You cannot listen to what women are saying. I mean, of course, women say a lot of good stuff, wise stuff, and but also you need to know that you're in a game where people play for their own interests. So you need to look at what is best for you and what you stand for. If you want to raise, say, a Christian family, a godly family, if you want to raise a modern family, if you want to raise whatever you want to do, it has to be you identifying, for instance, where the gaps are. And this has nothing to do with what every other person is saying. Do you understand? And
Mm-hmm.
we understand what the challenges are for people in the world now. Um, and again, I know people don't like to talk about the economy, but I sort of see what the economy is saying, the global economy, what the projections are. Might not be too sweet, which means that there are a lot of people that may want to be passing their bills to other people. Do you get? So you
Mm-hmm.
also have to look at that particular aspect of dating to see, um, do I want to be vulnerable in this aspect? Do I want to open my mind to what could be the possibilities? Do I want to look away from the cobwebs or to, like, try to make it better for myself? But before you do that, you have to first define what you want out of the experience. And that's something that it's hard for us to do because of all the distractions that happen on a day-to-day basis and all the things that we have to grapple with. And but the first step has to be, we have to define what I want, what's the problem, what's stopping me from getting to where I want to be. And I think that that's when we define that and define our role in it, we are now able to see how other people play in. You get. So many people are not supposed to get married anyway. You get, and
Mm-hmm.
it will not do the world any justice if they get married, except they. Do you understand? We are not better off. We are not better. We are not, I'm sorry I say it that way, but you get you. For those that will not get married, they should not get married. They should, relax, do their own thing. But
Yeah.
for those that want to get married, for those that think that that's a good experience for them, that that's a good journey for them to be a part of, they also have to define it properly because time is not really on anybody's side. And this is not to put pressure, but also you don't want other people wasting your time because there are people also that don't know what they want and they are there to, it's different when you're dating in your 20s. And this is this in response to we giving more grace. You will give grace, do you understand? But you also see when you are wasting your time, okay, where you have to like, cut back and push the way forward. In terms of men generally becoming better, I think that the advice for men to define what the problem is with their lives holds sway in every aspect of their lives, in their dating, in their professional life, in their academics. Do you
Awesome.
understand? You have to first identify if you think that you are stuck, if you think that there's something going wrong, you have to first identify what do I think is the thing that's going wrong.
Yeah.
Then you then find your I mean, you find your power, your juice. Do you get? How do
Yeah.
you? Where is my strength? You get. Normally, it would be in the things that you have decided how your life is going to be, how you have structured it. That structure would be like some sort of foundation to say, okay, this is how I would want my life to look like, and this is how I would want to be. The man of 2025 is different from the man of say 19 I would say 1950, 1960, 1970,
Maybe, or maybe 2019.
2019. Do you
Mm.
understand? With the way things go, times change. The modern man has to adapt to that time that has changed. Not in a way that erases him, do you understand? But in a way
Yeah.
that he can very well put in what he wants, how he wants it. Do you understand? And to the
Yeah.
best he can, he's not going to be 1000% in your hands, but to the best way he can to bring his best to the situation, to the pot. Do
Yeah.
you understand? I feel like
Yeah.
every other thing will fall into
Perfect.
like that. And if there are people that will not fall into your plans, let them go. Do you get?
Mm.
But
Hmm.
you have to at least be sure that this is what I want and it's the best thing for my life.
I mean, I think that's a good place because I feel like there's a perception of confusion because from what I'm taking from you or hearing is that identifying the problem or what was the problem was wrong with me would be able to navigate every other decision that you make. So if you say, "Oh, what's wrong with me?" That is able. If I'm feeling stuck, what's wrong? Why am I feeling stuck?
What's stopping
Or
me? There might be,
what's
you might not be poor. There may not be something inherently wrong with you, but there could be a gap between where you want to be and where you are. Where
okay?
something you
Okay.
need to feel, something where you need to
Mm,
work across. If you want a relationship for one, and you see that I'm on Bumble, I'm on Hinge, I have 100 people on this list. I've only said hello to half of them. The rest of them are saying hello to me. I don't even know who to talk to inside the list. You know where your problem is from to start with. You don't need a
yeah.
soothsayer. You don't need a Gideon to come and do that, bruh. you need to you need to decide where you want to stand. Do you
Yeah.
get? You need
Yeah.
to either, so these are the things that everybody needs to be aware of as a man living in 2026 because nobody has defined the role again. The role that they defined before is kind of shaky. You are not,
Mm,
it's not, it might not really work like that. So
mm,
in the absence of a general definition that will maybe happen in a few years' time when society have reached the synthesis after this whole thing, right? In the absence of that, you have to then define that this is what I want. And it's not likely that there's any man here that wants something stupid for their lives. It would be a shame that you want to be less than what you could actually be. Going by, I mean, what you think is possible. We'll go
mm,
into that professional
mm,
speak.
mm, mm.
In any case, point is that everybody
I
has to
get
define their
you.
own lives. You get, thank
I
you.
get you. I get you.
Towards that.
Solid. Perfect. Thank you. Tim, you're going to add to this conversation. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, can
Mental
you hear
health.
me?
Yeah, okay, cool. Do men
Yeah,
do how do men deal with mental health as well? Like, do men
I
need
want
mentorship?
I wanted to talk about this because being someone that's gone through a journey of a single parent household, I would advocate so heavily that number one, men need fathers. There's been, unfortunately, at least when I was growing up in the 90s, and I know that my parents, at least at the time, were first generation immigrants coming into the UK. Anyone who knows about the UK would know that I would say there was even a pandemic when it came to fatherhood, present fathers in the homes, and things of that nature. So at least I can speak for this side in the West, where there's a lot of young men that don't have fathers. And the
Mm,
absence of a father means that a lot of men, young men in this generation, haven't grown up in an environment whereby they can see or have seen a man love a woman. So their
mm,
interpretation and their understanding of what a relationship is, what love is, it's come from social media. It's come from
mm,
people from their, let's say, less privileged area. It's come from what they've seen, maybe their peers around you, how they interact with love. Major problem that needs to be dealt with in terms of fathers rising and actually being there. But at the same time, I will say that there is a generation of men that have seen the failings, the shortcomings of their fathers, and they want to do better. Yeah.
right.
But that all being said, I do believe that there's a generation of men that have an identity crisis out of the abundance of not having the one who is their physical father present to direct them in who they are and who they're supposed to be.
Right.
That journey has led to a journey of a lot of brokenness, a lot of trauma. And I think, even let's say from a relationship standpoint, I'll say my own personal experience where I experienced heartbreak
Oh.
for the first time. Yeah. I remember also being in a space whereby it's probably the first time I've ever cried. Maybe like I remember probably I hadn't cried for like 7 to 8 years prior to this woman. Yeah. Now I'm in a position of I don't know how to navigate these emotions. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to respond. And not only that, but now when I want to speak to those who are my close circle, my close friends, we're all big men. Oh, no one shows emotion. Everybody's so
Yeah.
now I'm speaking to my friend on the phone saying, "Oh, bro, like I miss her." Maybe the first time he'll entertain the conversation. The second time he's asking me, "What's going on?" Like, bro, like find another one. Like, what's wrong with you? And so it's like we don't even have spaces where we can be vulnerable. So when you don't have that ability to be vulnerable and open, now you actually build up a toxic state with inside of you. Where now in a
Mm,
relationship you don't express love. In a relationship
mm,
you're vulnerable, and so
mm,
you find that a lot of relationships break down because people are not receiving what they want. We know that there's obviously the five love languages, acts of service, quality time, things of that nature. Because we don't understand even how to love each other as human beings, man to woman, oftentimes this is the cause of major breakdown in relationship. She
mm.
wants quality time. You don't know how to give quality time, or you don't even know or understand
What?
these love mechanisms. You're a good man, she's a good girl. You're just not marrying
Yeah.
together because you
Yeah.
don't understand how to love each other. But
Yeah.
you weren't also taught how to love. You
Right.
weren't taught how to navigate your emotions. You weren't taught how to be intentional and give a woman what she wants. All of these things. All you know is be a man, provide money. And that's why I always say that I didn't become a man till I was 27, solely because when I now had my heartbreak, the breaking of my relationship, that took me off a journey of discovering, okay, so what does a woman really want? But men and young men are not even taught this growing up. Growing up, it was just cool. Make sure she's as pretty as possible, as long as she's. So I do believe there's a generation of broken men. I do believe there's
Yeah.
also we need more good examples so that men. We need to bring back shame in terms of no, we do. We need to bring back shame in terms of being promiscuous. We like when I've
I
got
love it.
people that I know
I love it.
when they fornicate. I don't call them by their name anymore. I say fornicator. How are you? Why? Because if you don't start to hold people to account,
Yeah.
we're gonna normalize an environment
Yeah.
that our children will have to grow up in, and you
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't care until it's directly affecting you. So I
Mhm.
100.
do also believe that accountability is needed for our men, and
100.
the whole mental health landscape. I think is at all time low for a lot of men. Like
Mm,
I think I even read an article where it said that the testosterone of men in their 30s is at an all-time low across the generation. But that again is speaking about the makeup of the food, the lack of aggression that men have in spaces that they should be like pursuing, whether it's women, whether it's work, whether it's business. The whole kind of makeup of the man in today's society, and I think Nero really touched on it very, very well. We're almost being wired to no longer be men. And so like even that pursuit of now saying I'm looking for a woman, nobody wants to catch a case, nobody wants to be in trouble. No, like, it's just a drive and a push where we've said men and women are equal. You can't, there's no difference between the two of them. So now who's supposed to pursue who? Now if a woman pursues me, it's a bit like, well, I start panicking. I'm like, hey, I don't even know, because it doesn't even feel right. It doesn't feel normal. But the mental health side of things, I think we really, really need to actually look at men's mental health and
Yeah.
also promote men also being men, whilst at the same time creating spaces where they can be vulnerable, where they can be open. Because I think there's a lot of men that are suffering, whether it's because of lack of resource, lack of ambition, not knowing how to navigate relationships, dealing with trauma from their past. We don't speak
Yeah.
on it, but there's a lot of men that have been victims of sexual harassment or molestation and things of that nature.
100.
How does that inform their connection with love, women, intimacy, all these different things? Then you hear horror story 5 years into his marriage, he did this, he did that, and then you're wondering how. But there was no healthy
It's
space
true.
for the man to navigate. So
It's
that's my
true.
own contribution on the mental health front.
Love it. Love it. I'm gonna land the plane soon and just want to ask a question. Um and my question is with mental health and still on this on this case, and people being because of this, people can be rigid, right? I think we mentioned that when they're coming into the dating landscape, um and not have like emotional resilience, right? Because of some of these things we discussed. um how what is one thing, or if I can say one thing, that men should unlearn, right? And I'll direct that to Tope, and then maybe Mr. Ade can also chime into what does what do men need to then learn as well when they're they're approaching like dating, when they're coming into this space. So so Tope, what does a man need to unlearn, and Mr. Ade, what does a man need to learn?
Well, this has been an enlightening conversation, and I'll just quickly, you know, talk about like everything that you guys have said in a very short, in a few words. Basically, men are lacking identity. We are lacking identity, not just from growing up, the absence of fathers, like Tim said, the absence of mentorship, because there are some men that, unfortunately, for one reason or the other, their dad or their father is not at home, but there's nobody stepping in to be a mentorship and a guide to the men that are growing up. The schools are also another factor. We're missing the aggression that men show at schools now is being diagnosed instead of being like, this is just who we are as men, So
Mm,
we're limiting the expressions of we of men basically in different environments. And that's why we are not showing emotions, because we are not finding the space or the avenue to actually express those emotions. And one thing I also enjoyed that we spoke about is like, from both sides, men and women, we're missing a meeting ground. And when I mean meeting ground, a genuine place where a single man is coming with genuine intentions and a single lady coming in with genuine intentions to actually meet. That ground is missing. We there's nowhere where people are actually coming in to be like, oh, I'm coming into this space to meet somebody. So that is lacking also. because now men are like, oh, like Nero was saying, people are coming with different perspectives or ideologies and coming to meet in the ground. But we need to create a safe space where both genders can come in and know that, okay, this is the place where I'm actually coming in to meet somebody, not for their looks, but maybe the whole thing. So there's that missing ground. So I just wanted to touch on that because it's just kind of summarized a lot of the things that you guys have
Well said.
spoken about. So what are men missing? I think we're missing the emotional intelligence of what it takes to be in a relationship. A lot of men go into relationships thinking it's going to be easy. I'm going to speak from my
Say,
experience.
yeah.
I thought it was going to be smooth vibes, you know. Everything is just going to work, you know. Oh yeah, there'll be arguments, but we'll walk through it. Men are missing the fact that you have to be selfless when you come into a relationship. It's not more all about you. It's now you laying yourself down so that somebody else can come in. And that's where we're speaking about having that safe ground. It's not all about money these days. Your wife needs to know that she's coming into a space where she's loved. But how are you going to put down that PS5 and listen to what she's actually saying? You know, but we go into that mindset of not of thinking, oh, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be good, I don't have to listen. It's not more about you, it's now about how you guys can come together. So I think men just need to learn that when you're going into a relationship, you need to start learning selflessness before you even get there. And that's why identity is really important, because you need to know who you are as a man so that when you get into a relationship, you can build on yourself being a man. But being a man, the expression I like is from Miles Monroe. He's like, men are the foundation. You know, they always say men is the head of the house. No, we are the foundation. If we are solid, the women are the body of the house. And it's true, the women are pretty. Like, when, as guys, we don't buy things for ourselves that are really flashy. We buy it for the women. You know, buy them dresses, we buy them, they take. So we just need to be solid. Come into a relationship knowing who you are and come with an attitude of selflessness that I am coming into this to actually merge myself with someone, and it's not going to be easy. That I want to point out specifically. It is not going to be easy because you're bringing two people from different backgrounds, two people from different ideologies, two people that have two different experiences, and you're trying to make them one. That oneness is there's going to be a force, there's going to be a force, and
Friction.
there's going to be a grinding. It's going to be a selflessness. There's going to be a lot of sacrifice that's going to happen in that process. And that's why most people get divorced in the first few years, because they can't withstand that grind. And we need to go into relationship or marriage knowing that it's going to be a grind, and the grind is actually part of the process, and the process is going to take time, and the time is going to lead to longevity and success. Thank you.
Amen. 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 Clock it.
Amen.
Clock it. Clock it. I wanted to say that would you want to give an example on EQ, but time is fast spent. So let me go to Mr. Ade.
Yeah,
What do men need to learn?
I'll keep it brief. I'll keep it brief, but I'll just start with a story. I grew up in a house where my dad was he had 5 wives. My dad was never present. I literally grew up on my own. In the midst of 8 boys and 2 girls, I was exposed to pornography as young as maybe age 7, 8. So I'm laying this, I'm telling you guys this so that you guys know that a lot of things were wrong from when I was growing up. But there was always, my mom was living in the house where there were other women there, and there was always fighting and shouting. Many times I wake up in the night and there was always that. So my dad was a traditional, all I do is provide money, you guys sort it out. You know, the women were in the roster of who cooks on Mondays, or week one, who cooks week two, blah, blah, blah. You know, so um, I knew from growing up young, I guess, again, I learned that this is not a good environment for me. And I wanted out as soon as I was independent. So I was lucky that I was sent to boarding school. And then from there, I joined the fellowship. I got saved in maybe after I finished my secondary school. And I didn't look back. I think that was my saving grace, because from then I knew that I was in control of my life, and I pursued knowledge. And there was something I wanted. I wanted to be able to um, find when it comes to relationships. I love psychology. I really love things about the mind and all of that. And I started developing myself. And I would say that all through school, if people have commented, and this is not just boasting, but I didn't know what it meant then. But they would say like your like EQ, like my emotional intelligence was the way I handle situations and all of that. Maybe that was a natural gift that God gave to me. Honestly, I don't know whether I did anything to be able to do that. Now, that makes me to want to lean more in the area when we say that there's a lot of men that struggle with their mental health. I think things may have gone wrong fundamentally from when someone is young, maybe didn't grow up in was raised in an abusive environment. But unless maybe you don't, once God is introduced, I believe that you have an opportunity and a chance to redeem every situation that you've gone through in life. And I think it starts with how to learn to make decisions at that point, right? You should learn to make the right decisions for yourself. How do you solve problems? These are things that typically you expect a man. Now, my son is 23, he's getting married. And these are some of the things that I've asked him, because initially when I was dating, I was thinking, is this boy ready? Is this boy ready? But over the years, since he started dating his fiance now, I've looked at him like, I think this boy has learned the basics, how to make decisions, how to problem solve. And then the rest is going to pick up on his own. It just needs that foundation of, okay, you are able to see things. What he likes or what he doesn't like may change over time, but what we've said is that pretty much had that discussion with him. In other words, what am I saying? When it comes to mental health, I think we need to not make an excuse for the role of discipline and character development in letting men. The fact that men make decisions now in their old age, does that make it the right decisions that they've made? Right. So those are areas that's what I just want to pivot and just look at and say that we need to be able to pick up ourselves from our bootstrap. Yes, life has been harsh on you. Yes, things have gone bad. But now let's put a full stop. From now on and going forward, what do you want to do? What are you going to do about it? For those that are not saved, unfortunately, I'll say that the role is for us that are Christians that profess Christ to try and reach out as missionaries, try to get people on board, because I know it's not something you can do on your own, except for the role of the Holy Spirit and what God can do in our lives. We will struggle, but that's where the role of we Christians trying to so that's where I see like mentorship and bringing people into the fold and letting people come in and all that. But for you you become aware, you're responsible for your life. That's the way I see it. You cannot wait for somebody to come and mentor. You cannot wait and say that somebody needs to create an environment for me. It's up to you. If you fail, it's your fault. If you succeed, it's your fault. I think I'll just stop there for the sake of time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Ade. Yeah, well said. Well said. Tim, I know you have to run off. But before you go, one last question for you. Because we've talked about a lot of things already today. If you have one advice to give someone who's trying to navigate a meaningful relationship, and to date with purpose, right? What would that be? And this is a question for everyone, but first, Tim.
I think bit of advice that I would give is number one, know what you want so that you know what you're looking for. I think a lot of people, and especially men, they don't know what they want. And so you have this whole thing of, oh, you're wasting my time. And there's a lot of men that, but also don't know what you want to the capacity of you're not ready to journey and learn. Know what you want from a foundational element and be ready to grow. What you might think you want, when you unravel it, it might not have the end product that you might have initially expected. But from a foundational level, know what you want, know what you're looking for, so that you don't waste your time and waste somebody else's time as well. So I think intentionality is important, but that only comes when you know, okay, this is what I want. So then you can go after it. I think some people are just trial and error, figuring it out. And that's what brings about a lot of delay, destruction, heartbreak, things of that nature.
Mm,
Yeah.
Well said. Thank you so much. Well said. Um, does anyone want to chime in into that? Nero, do you want to, what advice will you give?
Going into a relationship,
Yes.
I'm going to bounce around keywords. Um, you need to still, the identity is like pretty much important. So you need to know who you are
Yeah.
first. Um, Something you said about mental health. Um, you need to have the right circle to express, to, because sometimes you speak just in your head and you hear just yourself. It's not safe enough.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to have a good relationship with God where you communicate and you get feedback, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, you don't want to isolate yourself. You want to be interdependent. You want to create a circle of people that you can rely and depend on, that can
Yeah.
hold you accountable, that you can report yourself to.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so there's that accountability group, there's that vulnerability space, because women have always had that. Growing up, there was a program on the radio that was called Straight from the Heart. It was only women that were calling in. This man did this to me. He killed me. He ate my money. He broke my heart. I've never heard for once a man call on that show to say what a woman did to him. Never.
Mm.
It was all women. Straight from
Wow.
the heart, if you remember. So for me, it's basically having that first for yourself, right? And then going in to meet somebody else, knowing it's like your sweetness mentioned. There's that grind, there's that friction. You're trying to forge something to come into union. So it's going to be difficult. You don't get to run, you don't get to abandon
Mm.
just because
Mm.
it's difficult. You struggle, you fight for it. It's
Mm.
not going to, loving is, like I said, I thought love was easy until I discovered it's very hard. You can
Yeah.
rehearse love and say, oh, I'm going to be quiet when she speaks. I'm just going to shut up. I'm not going to get angry. She's not going to irritate me. I will be so patient. Is a lie. It's not
Lie.
going to happen that way.
That's a
So
lie.
there's that
Oh.
you coming to a point where you're like, okay, okay, I'm sorry. You go back, you come back to the table, you go, you come back to the table, you
Mm.
go, you come back to the table. Not go and disappear, but
Yes.
always knowing, okay, I have chosen you. To love you means I have chosen to love you. So it's a
Mm.
choice and becomes a duty. And because it is now a duty, I have to show up, not abandon because my emotions have been ruffled. And for that reason, my ego is saying flee. No, you don't listen to ego when you want to commit.
Yeah.
You decide to commit. So it's basically intentionality and knowing I chose this. There's no running away from this. I have to see this through. I have to work this. And it's
Mm.
effective communication is great and helps. Acknowledgement and accountability and
Mm.
listening to understand, not listening to respond. Those are like major keys
Hmm.
from my experience
That's good.
to see that he's clocking.
Nero,
It's
did you
just
say? Sorry, I'll interrupt you. Did you say you're still single?
No.
Or are you
I'm
married?
I'm not married. I'm in
Where
the
are you?
Oh, yeah.
calibration
Oh,
trying
you are
to
Yeah,
not
forge
available. You are not available.
at the moment because
You are
I'm in
not
the
available.
who
process
are
of
you?
yeah.
He's in
He
the
may have
process
something
of
for you.
merging.
Okay. No, no, no.
Let-
Continue. Sorry for interrupting.
but here, so let me give like a true story, right? To make it so it doesn't look like oh fairy tale, shiny silver metal. So um, I tried dating, and before I wanted to date, I'm like, okay, I grew up with older people. I didn't really grow up with like I grew up with my mates here, but I didn't really listen to what they were saying because they were saying a whole lot. They're saying a lot that didn't make sense. Like imagine somebody in secondary school, junior secondary school, coming to tell me his relationship and he's so worked up about it and he's all over the place. Like I can't take it seriously because you are dirty. Your uniform is dirty. You don't even know what hygiene is. You don't know nothing. And then you're telling me about relationship and you want to die inside that relationship. So to be honest, in the whole of my secondary school and even into university, I was just observing. I didn't really go into there was no intentionality with oh, I'm going to date. So the truth is I never dated in those spaces. That's the truth. When I wanted to date was when I felt like I had a scope of what all of this was about. And so I said, okay, intentionality, I want to date. And God did something to me. He gave me two choices. He gave me two options. They presented themselves. Somebody came with that same intentionality. Somebody came with the intentionality but hid it. And she hid it on the premise that she thought I was tricking her. The minute I saw she was intentional, I was going to run away from her. She misread me. She assumed, she concluded that I was a playboy. And so when I explained to the both of them, well, you guys are two, I'm going to make a choice. I made a choice. The choice was simple. The choice was, oh, you're intentional, I'm intentional. Let me go with someone who's intentional. It was at that point I realized she was also intentional, but she was hiding it. She thought I was going to. And so in that relationship, right, I tried my best. I saw lots of stupid things, but I tried to stay put. And in my head, I thought maybe, oh, is this me trying to be in a comfort zone? I don't want to leave. Until I was forced to leave. But before I left, I battled in a place of prayer, and God opened my eyes to see like a whole lot deep into the future about that person. And so I'm like, okay, let me come back. Now, coming back, my theory has always been, oh, because I hear all of these things. Oh, I just stepped into the room. God just said, that's the one. Oh, this person just did this, and God just said, there's that dream, there's that revelation, there's that vision, there's that word of knowledge. So in my head, I'm like, my own will not be different. I don't want to stress anymore. I don't want to go through that friction. I just want to give me that assurance. So I'll just be there and I just know, okay, I can't go wrong with this person. But it did not happen for me. And that kept me outside of like I was afraid to even if I see you like me, I distance myself from you because I'm waiting to hear from God before I talk to you. I don't want to make that mistake. And that kept me out of the dating scene for I think since 2018 or 2019 up until 2024, which is I think about 5 to 6 years or so.
Hmm.
Just because of that. So coming back into it with okay, intentionality, there were times when I wanted to run. What I'm in right now is about 15 months. But there were times when I wanted to flee. Like I literally wanted to run because in my head I'm like, you are stubborn. You have horn on your head. You don't hear word. You don't listen. You think you are stubborn. You think you have emotions that are so explosive. Have you seen me in that mood? But if I'm thankful for anything, I'm thankful for the growth, what I've learned, what I've
Hmm.
had to understand. And
Hmm.
it made me also listen to other people in marriages, especially from the men perspective, knowing it's not easy here, it's not easy there, it's not easy anywhere. It's something you need to go into with the intention of building. not being afraid of challenges, but just strictly with the mindset of be a solution person. That's if I'm to end it, just be a solution-driven person. Don't be one to nag, to complain. Don't be one to be fixated only on the problems. See the problems, but also look for a way to like get a solution and then proceed from there. And that's the process I'm in right now. I'm in the solution. It's not just me, it's about the baby I'm with. So if the baby if the baby is also like, which she's putting in effort, right? If the baby agrees and we continue to collaborate and we continue to try to synchronize and we get to a point like, okay, we think we have this first phase so we can proceed. Oh well, yes. If God says something else, oh well. But I've learned.
I love that. I love that for you. Well said. I love that for you. Okay, I'm just going to come to a close now. Just any final thoughts? You guys have just been so vulnerable, and I've loved this conversation. But any final thoughts? Tope, do you have any final thoughts, and then we can go around? To Mr.
Yeah, I
Ade.
just want to encourage all the men there. We are falling behind, but we are also there are resources out there for us that we can also hold on to move forward. One is also obviously going to be your spiritual life, and then it's also good to be you're not on this journey alone, so don't try to do it on your own. Get a mentor, get a friend, and when I mean friend, I mean like somebody that you're actually vulnerable with, where you can actually open up. And yeah, I think there's work to do, but I think we just have to put our head up and then continue to move forward, because uh, I just believe every man has that innate uh, desire to be to contribute, to facilitate, to lead. So if we just keep on looking in the right direction and going along with the right people, I think that will make it easier for everyone.
Yeah, well said. Thanks, babe. Mr. Ade.
Oh, very brief. Build friendship,
Yes,
marry your friend.
I love that. Simple as. Eddie Young.
I adopt Mr. Ade's statement as my own.
Marry who you can call big head. See your big head.
Exactly.
Jump.
Yeah.
From the jump. You don't need to play around at the beginning,
Yeah.
because the truth is that everybody comes with their interest, and sometimes you need to pray. Make like I was going to speak now. May God help you.
Yeah. May God
Because
help
you're better
you.
way to put it than may God help you, because first of all, you don't want to be unhappy. I need that to be clear. People think that men's happiness is negotiable, right? And I was talking to my friend the other day, and I hope she doesn't see this, but she's like, men will always be okay. And I said, no, no, I'm sorry.
No.
Men will not always be okay. I'm sorry. I need to be happy from the jump, because that's how I can be okay. If I'm managing from the jump, or someone is managing me, or we are doing that whole politics of okay, shift here, don't shift there, it's going to be a problem, right? I want from the jump to be happy. Okay. So if I can't get that from the jump, it's tricky.
Yeah.
So we have to define, like I said before, this is not selfishness, so not selfishness, but sort of you have to really know why you're in the market. Why am I here? And this is me reasoning very commercially, but this is how it always boils down to, unfortunately, it always boils down to what people want. You need to define what you want early enough to be able to decide what you can put up with, right? There's going to be shifting. It's going to be lowering your guards, because maybe you're doing too much. Maybe you're too guarded. You will lower it down a bit to see what you can get. But don't enter clueless. That's what I'm telling you. Don't enter clueless. carrying your father's ideals. It doesn't work. That's
It
what I
couldn't
can
work.
say. You have to like define as you are stepping into the thing that this is what I could get. Maybe not so strictly,
Yeah.
not so, oh, if I don't get it, I die, because it's the world. There's 1,000,001 interests. Everyone has to negotiate, get what is best for them. But if you come in clueless, it's easier to be taken for a fool, to be
Mm.
taken advantage of. For these babes, they are smart. Oh. Don't whine yourself. Oh. Like, I mean, this is not to put fear in your minds, but don't play yourself if you are not sure what you, or if you have you're not clearly stated it down to yourself to be able to like run with it, or the other girl, the person on the other side doesn't know what you want. It's hard for sometimes when people know what you want, it's easy for them to run away early enough so that you can find the one that works perfectly for you. Because if you don't
Yeah.
find the one that works, maybe 70%, you will be sad. And if you are sad now, you will not go back home at the end of the day. You're not come and give me gist I don't want to hear in the past. So like everybody has to, from jump, realize this is why I'm here. And it doesn't have to be very selfish. You yourself need to realize that this is what I'm here for, as a part of a greater ideal. This is what I want in the world, but this is what humanity, if you are thinking that far, this is what would help everybody. This is what would help me for one. Me for one. You get, not too selfish, but at least it helps you define how you get into the place. Not the one that when you come in, everybody's ideas are now foisted on you. You now have to now maybe applying. They say, today they say the men should not do so. You say, okay, let me apply that one. Somebody say, men should be okay, let me apply that one. No, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You come out sad. At the end of the day, it becomes an issue of I could have gotten better. No, you could not have, because you didn't even know what you wanted.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, passionate, conclusion there. I love it. Live on a high. That's how I like it. That's what we do here at Growing Tree Podcast. Okay. I love it. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. We've talked about challenges, we've talked about pressures and what it takes to build relationships today in this modern time, identity, and mental health, the resources available, creating vulnerable spaces, and finding your interest and knowing what the gaps are and being aware. Hopefully, you guys that are on live stream and that will see this afterwards, hopefully you guys will get some takeaways for your own life. So yeah, thank you guys so much for this lovely conversation. Comment your perspective in the comment chat box. What has changed for you in dating? And if you liked the conversation, subscribe for more honest conversations like this. And maybe we'll bring a panel of women to give their own perspective next time, which will be interesting. But that's it for us today. Till we meet next time. Love, peace, and joy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.